We are floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show. My name is Commander Drew Brown. My wingman, my friend, the guy who watches my six all the time, my main man, Dr. Paul Thompson. How are you, brother Paul?
Well, Commander Drew, I'm doing just fine. You look chipper today. You always have a lot of action going on right behind you.
Yeah, check out that badass A6 getting up on that catapult. It is smoking. Paul, I just want to start off by saying something real quick. I was watching the football playoffs this weekend, and it was the four top college football teams of the country, and one of the teams were getting beat real bad. They showed the stands, and in the stands were the parents of the quarterback of the team that was getting beat bad. They looked horrible. They were so sad. And I was thinking, you and I both had children who played in collegiate sports. you know, no matter how big the game was, if we weren't doing good, I felt bad. But should I have felt bad for losing, or should I have been really happy because they made it there to being the top four teams in the country? What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, the reality is that somebody's going to lose the game. I watched a losing game last night from one of our favorite sports teams, and the way it goes. But sometimes parents can get a little bit crazy, and I didn't see much of that. Saw a little bit of it. I saw where coaches went overboard. I'm talking at a high school game, and not even the top of the top. Sometimes our expectations are high, and parents take it much more seriously than the kids, and they go crazy. I think that might be because they're living through the children and not really enjoying what the children are enjoying at the extreme. You ever see those, sometimes you see parent fights at, like, baseball games and basketball games.
At little league games, they are crazy. Parents are so much worse than the kids. Yes, I've seen it a lot, and it's a shame. Parents should let their children be their children and live their own lives. All right, Dr. Paul, let's start this puppy off with a quote of the day. Resolve to keep happy, and your joy in you shall form an invisible host against difficulties. One more time. Resolve to keep happy, and your joy in you shall form an invisible host against difficulties. Dr. Paul, that was by Helen Keller. She's an author and an activist. You know about Helen Keller, don't you?
Yeah, yes, it's just a little bit. She was, very famous. She was made so famous because she accomplished so much despite being, deaf and blind. Uh, yeah, Helen Keller was, she's been known forever. But there's another little thing about her that's unusual. Commander Drew, did you know that Helen Keller actually introduced the Akita dog to the United States?
No, I had no idea about that.
Yes, she did. She had one. She got it from, I guess, got it from Japan, and rumor has it that is the first one brought to this country. I got a picture of that. I'll put up there for you.
All right, great. I love Akitas. They're beautiful dogs. All right, everybody, you're listening to the Wingman Show with Commander Drew Brown and my brother, my man, Dr. Paul Thompson. And we're just two black Navy jet attack pilots from Harlem, New York, who went from the aircraft carriers to flying commercial airlines for FedEx. And now we're here to be your wingman in real life. I also want to introduce you to Ace, our ChatGPT AI wingman. He's our chat AI GPT, but you need to know this. There's an advisory. He's not human, and he's not always right. You have to know how to use that tool. He's an incredible tool if you use him correctly. Don't you think, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, that's right, Drew. We flew, between the two of us, we flew A6 Intruders and A7 Corsairs off aircraft carriers. We've seen some turbulence in the sky and on the ground, but in this show, we give you the gouge, the stuff that they don't print in the manual, stuff you need to know. Isn't that right, Commander Drew?
100%. And see, here on the Wingman Show, we don't do that doom and gloom stuff. We do good news, real stories, and ideas you can actually use. And today we're going to talk about something most people, for some reason, are scared of or confused by, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. Not as a threat, but we're going to use it as a hustle partner, something that can maybe make you some extra money. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah, yeah, you're right, Commander Drew. The title of today's show is AI and the Hustle, how regular folks, not just tech geniuses, can use AI to start side hustles and small businesses. Now, when you talk about AI, Commander Drew, what do people talk about when you're, going about your day? How do they respond?
Well, if you say AI in the barber shop or in a break room, people look around like, man, I ain't messing with them robots and that high tech bro stuff. That's not for me, but that's so crazy because a lot of folks think AI is coming to take their job. But you said it before, Dr. Paul. People who use AI are coming to take your jobs, not AI. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. But the truth is, AI is kind of like a power tool. If you hand a power drill to somebody who's never built anything, it just makes a lot of noise. Now, if you give it to somebody with a little bit of guidance, they can build a whole house. Get the same tool, but just with a different outcome. You agree?
Yeah, and what we're saying today is you don't have to be a genius, a coder, or even really that good with computers to use AI as the woman for your hustle. You just need to know what to ask, how to ask, and then here's the big one: you got to be willing to put the work in. Hard work is everything, Dr. Paul. You get nothing from nothing, don't you think?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. AI doesn't replace the hustle. You still got to hustle. It just does it faster. It can turn like 1 hour of effort into what might have taken you four, maybe in a week. That's the game. If you do it correctly, you can become more productive in less time and usually with a lot less effort.
All right, well, let's talk about some regular folks now, Dr. Paul. Not millionaires, just regular people. Imagine a single mom who loves bacon. She got three great cake recipes everybody at her church loves her to make. And she figured she could maybe start a little business, but she has no idea where to start a business. What could she do, Paul?
Well, she could, jump on AI, type into one of them, pick your favorite one of the assistants, and you could say something like, "Help me turn my cake recipe into a side hustle, side business, something I can run on the weekends, part time." She could say, "I've got a regular job, I got 2 kids, I got $200 to start with." And AI can take that information, lay it out, and give her like a menu with pricing, maybe a name to call the business. Sometimes when I do it, I'll ask for like 5 or 10 suggestions. I usually don't ask for more than that, 5 or 10, and pick the best one. And sometimes I'll mix them together, so it's really original. And how to do social media. It'll tell you how to do that because I'm not strong on that. So it'll guide me. How do I do this? How do I do that? I've used it a bunch. And you can get, maybe it'll give you a budget, a shopping list, ingredients, things she can have on hand. That's what I would start with.
Now, Paul, AI doesn't bake the cake. Does it show up at the farmer's market? No. But what it does, it takes the confusion out of the planning. And that's where most people quit when it comes to the planning. It's like having a little business coach in your pocket 24/7, 365 days a year. Don't you like that, Paul?
Yeah, that is good. And I can give you another example. Say, like, you got a young guy who's a barber. He cuts hair. He can do it in his kitchen, do it in his house. Doesn't have a shop, doesn't have a license. He just got talent. He's good at doing it. And he knows what he's doing. He can ask AI, "Hey, help me plan a path from cutting hair at my house to just a legit barbershop. I want to do it in 3 years." You can start with like a one-page business plan, and you can do just simple things like that just to get started. What else can it do, Commander Drew? How do you use it?
Well, AI can help him map it out, actually. He can talk about how many cuts he needs in a week to make enough money, how to track that money, and how to write his first Instagram bio. And the most important thing that Dr. Paul and I always talk about is customer service. He can even teach him how to respond to customers professionally. Isn't that good?
Yeah, it is. It's great. And like you're telling everybody, it's not science fiction, it's science fact. It's today, it's right now. And you should really get with the program. Start doing it. You'll enjoy it.
All right, well, let's bring it into our world for real. When we were JOs, junior officers, man, you know how many evaluations we had to write, awards and letters? And do you remember how long it took to write those things? Man, if we had AI back then, I'd have said, hey, help me write a professional, respectful recommendation for this sailor so he can get promoted. He'd have given me two or three drafts in about 20 seconds. It would have been incredible. Don't you think, Paul?
Yeah, that'd be great. Even doing that, you still have to check it. You got to tweak it. You can make it right, make it sound like you. But the biggest part is that you get rid of the blank page. You have a place to start. That's where AI can really help you. It kills the blank page, and you got a starting point. And from there, it's all up to you. Can you give us another example, Manager?
Sure. Let's say you wanted to start a cleaning service, okay? You could ask Guy, hey, give me a name, give me a logo, and list of 12 social media posts to promote my cleaning business in this city. You want to tutor kids in math? This is great, Paul. Help me create a flyer and a basic lesson plan for eighth grade math tutoring. It will do that for you, Paul. It's an incredible tool.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't really have to steal anybody's ideas. It can be your own. You don't have to copy and paste crazy stuff because you watch the AI, but you can use it as a wingman to shape your own ideas, something to help you. And you put your own story, your own imagination, and your own flavor. That's how I use it.
Well, let's be real, Dr. Paul here. AI won't fix the L gene. And the L gene I came up with is called the lazy gene. It's AI is not going to fix your laziness. It's not going to fix your bad habits. If you're not willing to show up to actually do the work, you can have the best digital wingman in the world. And guess what? You can still crash that jet.
Yeah, we don't want to crash any jets. We don't want to crash anything. And for the young people, especially listening, remember AI can help you stay out of trouble. For example, you can use to write a resume to get a job. You can plan a legitimate business like we just talked about. You can use to learn a trade. Learning a trade is going to be a lot better in your life long term than running the streets. So you can use the internet for something useful, not just foolishness and playing games. Use it to improve your life.
Well, we talk a lot on this show about wingmen. We love talking about people who keep you alive in bad weather. Well, think of AI as your new kind of wingman. He's not a replacement for real people. Remember, we talked about that. But it is a tool that can give you so much. It can give you a business plan when you've never written one. It can even give you a script for talking to a landlord or employer or even a bank. How about a study plan for a license or certification? Isn't that cool stuff, Paul?
Yeah, another part, again, you don't have to tell anybody you're using it. Just do it quietly, upgrade your life. Next thing you know, people will see that you're more organized, you're more prepared, and you're a little more focused.
So here's the gouge for today. If you've been saying, I want a side hustle, I want a little business, I'm ready to make some money, I'm tired of being broke. Well, then your next step is not to complain. Your next step is to sit down with AI like you're sitting down with a mentor and just say, help me build something small, simple, and real that fits into my life. I love that, Paul.
Yeah, it's great. AI can tell you just about everything you need to know at this moment to get started from wherever you are. Pick it up there. You can tell your schedule, your skills, what you're good at, how much money you got to work with, and let it show you your options. It may give you a range of choices you never thought about. So pick one and then just fly the mission. That's what I would do.
Well, in our wingman story at the end of the show, we have a great wingman story, and we're gonna talk about somebody who did exactly that. They used AI as a quiet partner to turn a little idea into real income. Not perfect, not overnight, but real. Well, here on the Wingman Show, we do good news. I have some real good news for you. I have an amazing story for you, Dr. Paul. Texas Tech, the university, they just signed a 7-footer who's going to be the first woman to be a 7-footer in women's college basketball. This girl, her name is Okachokwa, and she's shown on Instagram dunking, passing, shooting. She can really ball out, man. And I can't believe she's 7 foot. I can't believe a girl's going to be that tall. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I've seen video of her, Miss Okechokwa, and until she's officially approved by the NCAA, do you know that she's gonna be the tallest basketball player, women's basketball player in NCAA? Right now, the 2 tallest are 2 people. There's a 6'10" lady named Nicole Dominguez of Middle Tennessee State University, MTSU, and there's an Abby Boutelier of Eastern Illinois. Miss Ocheko has never played in the WNBA or any level in the NCAA, so she's gonna take the world by storm here pretty soon.
Wow, what a great story. Okay, Dr. Paul, have you ever thought about where is everybody going in this country? What states are they moving out of? What states are they moving in? So, United Van Lines, they're a moving company. They did the survey, and guess what the top inbound states are? The top states that people are moving to: Oregon, West Virginia, South Carolina, Delaware, Minnesota, Idaho, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Alabama. How about you, Paul? Where are they leaving?
Yeah, I found people are leaving, the top states. They're leaving New Jersey, New York, California, North Dakota, Colorado, Mississippi, and Massachusetts. They've got population decrease.
All right, Paul, here's an interesting good story. Have you ever heard of a rage room? And do you think they really work? I've heard this advice before. Take a breath, count to 10. But what if anger bubbles up? Counting just doesn't cut it. Okay, in Memphis, we our kids went to school in Memphis, and one day I heard little Drew, my son, he was listening to some 8 Ball MJG, and the cursing was pretty bad. And I said, "Why are you listening to this?" And he said, "Dad, I'm really angry, and I call this my curse tape. And after I listen to it, I'm not that angry anymore." Well, there's a new trend that says, forget calming down, smash something instead. Matter of fact, Dr. Paul, I actually gave Taryn, my daughter, and my granddaughter, Angel, I gave them 2 sessions actually in New Orleans last year for Christmas. What do you think about these rage rooms?
Okay, well, I hope they didn't get hurt, but rage rooms are popping up all across America and the UK, and it gives people a chance to let loose by destroying old TVs, plates, furniture, anything that can take a hit. You actually have to pay for the privilege. It's a business. You pay for the privilege, you grab a bat or a crowbar, and you go to work breaking stuff. You want to hear about a rage room that I was a part of a long time ago?
I'd love to hear it, Paul.
Yeah, before I was in a rage room, I was working. My rage was working, and I worked for Macy's as a stock boy, and we moved a lot of heavy stuff around, and I spent a lot of time in the China department, or I think they call it furnishings. Long story short, we'd have these big packs of dishware, nice stuff, expensive stuff, heavy stuff, and if there's a damaged piece, a lot of times they would just destroy the whole thing. It might be 83-piece set, and one's got a nick on it. They say destroy the whole thing. So we go back and we would start smashing stuff on it was a garbage chute, and the rage was good. It's not a rage for 10 minutes. I used to be worn out doing it, and I was still a teenager actually. So people are doing the rage room is I think it's maybe because they don't do a lot of physical activity. If you're working hard, you don't really need to do that. Another example is I had a friend who used to work in a prison. And I asked him one time about all those guys bulking up, lifting weights, getting strong. I said, "Do they have a lot? You have a problem with them?" He said, "No." He said, "Those got big guys." He said, "They're no problem at all. They're working out so hard, they're just worn out. And when they finish, they just rest and go to sleep." So I think if you're physically active, you don't really need that. So it's basically a good outlet. I also have a punching dummy in my garage just for some skill development and exercise. So if that's what it takes, it's better to beat on something than another person. That's my experience with rage rooms, Commander Drew.
Well, I'm not going to tell everybody what face you have on that dummy that you beat the hell out of every day. But anyway, my grandson, baby Drew Brown the fifth, when he was younger, he loved to destroy everything. He was like a little Bam Bam from the Flintstones. Remember Bam Bam with Wilma and Fred? Well, he would just destroy anything you built up. I don't think he was mad. I think he just liked to destroy things. But this is about getting rid of your rage. Now, myself, when I get mad, I explode real quickly, but I calm all the way down. I do not keep it up. Now, what if I told you said you were working at Macy's? That means they were paying you to destroy things. Well, today you can find rage rooms everywhere, from New Orleans to the United Kingdom, all promising one thing: stress relief through destruction. But it'll cost you. It costs about $50 for a half hour of smashing stuff. What do you think about that, Paul?
Yeah, people run the business say they're operating at full capacity, and some people were looking to expand 'cause of having another venue because demand's so high. The business was started actually by a lady named Amelia Smerling and her husband, and they were looking for different ways to help their son cope with PTSD. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but wow, that's incredible, and it actually probably worked. But here's the real question, Paul. Does smashing things actually help release anger and stress? Or are we just breaking stuff and calling it therapy? Is it a healthy outlet or just a loud distraction?
I think a combination of both.
I agree. All right, everybody, check out those badass jets we got behind us today. Dr. Paul has a beautiful picture of a group of A7 Corsairs. That's a wonderful picture, Dr. Paul. And that's what Paul actually flew, those A7 Corsairs. And behind me, I have an A6 popping on that catapult. It's all that smoke and steam coming. I remember those days very well. I want to thank everybody for supporting us and listening to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I want to thank you all so much for that. We really appreciate your support. And we have a website, and that website is wingmenshow.com. That's WINGMEN show.com. And on that website, we have something really cool. It's called a newsletter. And the newsletter this week is how to hustle using AI. Also on that website, we have one of our favorite little parts of the show, and it's called our frequent flow line. That's where you get to write us and ask us any question that you'd like. Well, right now, I'm going to read a frequent flow line letter that they sent to myself, Dr. Paul, and our chat GPT Ace. Hey, Ace, how you doing today? I'm ready to do a frequent flow line letter. And somebody wrote actually to you, myself, and Dr. Paul. This is the letter. I'm a 58-year-old Asian American, retired U.S. Navy vet, writing from a quiet, mostly white neighborhood my wife and I worked hard to move into. On paper, it's perfect: good schools, safe streets, but I always don't feel like I belong. I did 20 years in the Navy in aviation, and I saw firsthand how Black pilots were treated, questioned, doubted, and overlooked in ways that had nothing to do with their flying and everything to do with race. Knowing our brothers like you face makes me even more proud of what you've accomplished. Two Black attack pilots from Harlem and then FedEx, and now using your voices to lift people up. I tell everybody about your show. But here's my struggle. In this new neighborhood, I feel the long looks, the tight smiles, the awkward pauses when I walk up. Maybe some of it's in my head, but after 20 years in uniform, I know when I'm being seen as other. I'm grateful for what we have and I'm tired and angry underneath. I don't want to grow old bitter at my neighbors. I just don't want to be like that. I can't change where we live right now, but what I can change, maybe, is how I think and how I carry myself. That's why I'm writing to you. How do you guys handle being in spaces that weren't built for you, but you earned a place in them anyway? How do you protect your peace without pretending the history and reality aren't there? I love your show, your good news, and your wingman mindset. I'm proud of what you've done for Black aviators, for minorities in uniform, and for every kid who wasn't supposed to make it. I'd be honored to hear your gouge on how to live with pride, grace, and sanity in a place that doesn't always feel like home. Respectfully, a U.S. Navy vet. Well, Ace, what do you think about that? What a great letter. What do you think about it?
It's a powerful letter, and it really highlights the complexities of navigating spaces where you might feel like an outsider, even after so many accomplishments. I think it's definitely something we can address in a thoughtful way on the show. We can, share some personal experiences, maybe provide some practical advice on maintaining that inner peace and resilience. It's definitely going to resonate with a lot of folks. So let's dive into it.
All right, Dr. Paul, what is your thought on that? That's a wonderful letter that he sent us. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, thank you for the letter. Earlier on, he said he tells everyone to listen to our show. We do appreciate his participation. I said, to answer his question, I said, is one of his questions was, how do you cope with dealing in an environment or space that was not made for you? Words to that effect. Well, I never expected a space to be made for me. I never had that expectation personally. I always thought that I had to adapt to whatever environment I was in. That's pretty much the way we were raised at the time. Uh, and I would say to him also, don't give people power over you that they don't have. Don't make don't make anyone don't let anyone make you feel bad or feel negative about yourself. Don't give them power. Don't give them powers that they really don't have. That might be in your head, and don't let anyone just make you negative because you're negative. You gotta stay. You gotta stay. You gotta stay positive. Everything is not perfect, and the reality is everybody's not gonna like and love you. Uh, that's wherever you are with whatever group of people you're around. You got to do the best you can and bring them along if you can, and if you can't, you just keep moving anyway. You move forward anyway. That's my basic thing.
That's great. Well, I was very blessed to have grown up with parents who made me feel special. My mother's a white Jewish woman, my father's black from Florida, but they made me feel that I wasn't less than, I was more than. And especially when I went into the military, I used to say this as a joke, and I'll say it again. If you call me nigger, you better say sir now, because I'm an officer in the United States Navy, and I was real proud of that fact. But here's the real thing. Other people don't have power over you, just like Paul said. As you get more time on planet, that means as you get older, you realize it doesn't matter what other people think of you. It should not affect you in any way. What really matters is how you think about yourself. Thank you so much for that letter and stay strong. And remember, people can't look down upon you if you're above them, and meaning racist people are below you. All right, everybody, here's our favorite part of the show. Alignment PSA. From the 11 facts in life, under fact number 3, make a negative into a positive and learn from the past. Make a negative into a positive and learn from the past. You know, Dr. Paul, when I first came in the Navy in AOCS, everybody had call signs. All the pilots get call signs. And I don't know if you remember this very famous actor called Clark Gable. They always said he was tall, dark, and handsome. He was a very big movie star. But anyway, when I got into my ALCS class, one guy looked at me and he said, "Hey, you think you're tall, dark, and handsome? Well, you're not Clark Gable. You're Dark Gable. Ha ha ha." And I said, "That's the coolest thing I ever heard." I took a negative and made it a positive. Matter of fact, it was such a cool name. They tried to stop me from using it because it had too many syllables. What do you think about making a negative into a positive and learning from the past, Paul?
Yeah, that's yeah, that's smart. That's smart. That's an example of not letting other people put you down, make you feel down, giving them powers that they don't deserve and really don't have. So if you can stay on the plus side, that actually messes up for them if they were trying to bring you down, doesn't it?
That's great, Paul. Well, now we've come up to this part. It's called the gouge. And the gouge is something we learned in the Navy. And gouge is shit you need to know, but sometimes nobody tells you. Well, Dr. Paul and Ace are going to give you the gouge this week.
The Gouge with Paul and Ace of ChatGPT. The Gouge on Money piece, short, simple, and real. Set up an automatic transfer the day your money hits. 5% straight to savings so you never see it to miss it. No drama bills. Put every regular bill on auto pay for at least the minimum, then calendar check them once a month so nothing surprises you. 3, one flight plan account. Use one main checking account to pay bills and a separate debit card account for everyday spending so you can see when you're running hot. Sleep on it rule. Anything over a certain number, your number, say 100 or 200 bucks, must survive 24 hours before you buy. Most dumb buys die overnight. Kill stupid tax. Avoid late fees, overdrafts, and same as cash traps. Those are just turbulence you chose. If you can't explain how the deal works in one sentence, don't sign it. Tidy automatic pay down. Add even 25 or 50 bucks automatic extra to your highest interest debt each month. Boring, but over time, it's like adding power and climbing out of the hole. Quarterly fit rep. Every 3 months, sit down for 20 minutes. What do we own? What do we owe? What changed? No shame, just facts and course correction. And there you go. So my comment is that it's a super practical checklist. It's like a flight plan for finances. And I think it's going to help people keep things smooth and steady.
That was Ace giving us the gouge on money. And now we've come to our Wingman story. And that's why we call our show The Wingmen Show, because we always like to highlight somebody who is taking care of somebody else. I think you'll really like this story. It starts off a young brother named Malik. He used to joke that his only plan was to make it to the weekend. He was 19, drifting in a tough neighborhood, skipping school, messing with weed and pills, and running with a crew that treated petty crime like a game. Probation felt like a slap on the wrist, not a warning. But underneath the bravado, Malik could feel it. He was one bad night away from losing everything. So one night, he slipped into his apartment way past midnight, but his grandmother was waiting at the kitchen table. She had a plate of cold food. She didn't yell. She slid a folded newspaper across to him, and on the front, a story about a young man who had gone to prison, learned tech, and turned his life around. And then she pointed at that old beat up laptop on the counter. And she said, "You know, when your great granddaddy flew with the Tuskegee Airmen, he always used to tell me about his wingman. That was the guy who kept him alive when the sky got ugly. Now, look, you don't fly airplanes, baby, but you still need a wingman. And see that thing right over there?" She nodded at the laptop. "That could be your wingman if you learn how to use it right." Malik laughed it off. How could a slow laptop be a wingman? But later, stuck at home after a probation check, he got bored and he clicked on a little video about using AI to learn any skill. The guy on the screen talked to an AI assistant like a coach, asking it how to study, how to write a resume, how to change his life. Malik realized he had access to the same kind of tool sitting right there on his counter. And he wondered if this wingman thing his great grandfather talked about, how could it look in this world? So he typed the question most people would never say out loud. He wrote, "I'm 19, I'm black, I'm on probation, I have bad grades, no money, I've done drugs and dumb stuff. I don't want to go to jail. What can I do with my life?" The AI didn't judge. It broke his situation into parts: school, work, habits, friends, health, and gave him options. Finish his GED, learn a trade like electrical or HVAC, look at tech programs and apprenticeships, take small steps every day instead of trying to fix everything at once. It was calm, clear, and specific, like an older cousin who'd seen some things but still believed in him. So Malik decided he would treat this AI like his digital wingman. Every morning he asked, "What's my mission today?" Together they built a simple flight plan, probation check ins, GED study, one application or email a day, and 30 minutes learning a real skill instead of just scrolling around some nonsense. When math got hard, he said, "Hey, AI, explain this like I'm in the locker room, not a classroom." And you know what? The AI broke problems down. He was used sports and cars as examples and then quizzed them until he got it. At night, he'd type a quick report. Malik would say, "Today I showed up. Today I didn't use. Today I learned something." And his digital wingman kept track of the wins he would have ignored. The hardest part was his circle, his boys, because his boys kept calling, "Yo, man, we outside. You coming?" Malik asked his AI, "How do I deal with these dudes without sounding scared?" It helped him practice the words, firm, respectful, and reminded him of what was at stake: his freedom, his grandma, his future. One night, when a friend wanted him to ride along for something light, something not very good, he heard his wingman's voice in his head, and it said, "Does this move you towards your mission or towards a mugshot?" Malik stayed at home. Nobody clapped for him, no fireworks, just a quiet decision that kept him out of a police car that his friends were in that night. Weeks turned into months. The AI helped him find local training program for electrical work and even drafted the email to the instructor. Honest, not perfect. The email said, "I've messed up, but I'm trying to turn my life around. I want a skill and a second chance." He got in. He started coming home tired from learning instead of running the streets. Even his probation officer saw the paperwork, the schedule, the effort, and his probation officer said, "Keep flying that course." His grandma just hugged him and whispered, "Your great granddaddy would be proud. You finally found yourself a wingman." Eventually, Malik passed his GED and finished the program. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but he had a trade, a plan, and a completely different flight path from the one he'd been on. When people asked him what changed, he didn't give them a long speech. He'd tap that old laptop and say, "I got a wingman, just like my great granddaddy had. But in my world, it doesn't fly the plane for me. It just keeps me honest and reminds me I was built for more than the block." And see, that's the point. Sometimes your wingman is a person. Sometimes it's a grandparent who refuses to give up on you. And sometimes in this new world, it's a tool you learn to use, a digital wingman that helps you find a mission, stay on course, and turn a life headed for a crash into one that actually has somewhere to go. Everybody out there, thank you so much for listening to the Wingman Show. And anything you think is important, and anything you think is beautiful, and most importantly, whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace, Dr. Paul.
I pray for peace too, Commander Drew. It's good seeing you today, and we appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. Send this out to somebody that you know, somebody that you like, even someone that you don't like. Most of you are not subscribers. Please consider subscribing. It's more important than a like. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification when we put out a new episode. Thanks for your support.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.